So if you remember in the last episode, I said I was going to just focus on refining what I had. So the first thing I wanted to tackle was the enemy. In the last episode, you could see that the enemy was very basic. It just kind of ran at the player and, didn't worry about patrolling or any of the other states that you would commonly see in MMOs. So with that being said, I decided to start with that. I extended the map just so that I could have room to have the enemies. Okay, so after a few refactoring and, banging my head against the wall and learning how the AI system works in Unreal Engine, I came up with this. So I have two of these oak tree ents in here, and they're just patrolling right now. I made it to where it's toggleable, that it's aggressive or not aggressive. And so anytime like the player attacks, okay, I missed. I gotta refactor the abilities, but it's on the work. It's in the works. Okay. And so now he attacks. You can damage him. He takes a hit. He has a staggered. So I guess like in Elden Ring and other games, you hit them so much, and then their like armor kind of breaks, and then they stagger. And yeah, so everything looks good. He runs, follows, tries, but if you get out of the range, he'll just turn back. Um, so I think overall that is exactly what I wanted. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this so far. You could have two on you. The enemies, I could make them be able to damage each other, but I figured it would probably be best to just not do that for now. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. And yeah, so that's where I am on the enemies. So here you can see the death animation. It's all good. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to work on is trying to get these to spawn in a group. So I'm thinking of making a spawner that I could spawn multiple enemies at once and maybe have a list of enemies to spawn just to make it a little bit more modular and easier for me to set up the world. Okay, so now I got the spawner all hooked up. So in the spawner, you can pretty much have an array of enemies and you can choose how many to spawn. I still need to add in the spawn timer or the respawn time for each of these. But for now, this is what I got. I also made it so that I have some type of 3D object just to see in the editor to make it so I know that this is like a marker for a spawn point, just to have a little bit of a visual feedback. Understand what's going on. So if I respawn in, you can see that I have 6 enemies. All of them are on patrol. If I were to attack any one of these, they would come and chase me. Ideally, I guess I got a few bugs. I'm gonna look into that. But for now, I think what happened was that maybe the behavioral tree, it just was still on the wait and it didn't immediately exit the wait. Yeah, I guess I gotta see how they can be more responsive. But for the most part, this is pretty good. I think for now I can move on to my next step, which would be to create new ents because these kind of look a little ugly. I'm not sure if they match well with the game or with the art style I'm trying to go for. So I'm gonna see what I can do there. And yeah, so there we go. Okay, so I'm back from making the characters. So I kind of just worked with what I had as a reference. And what I had was this pack that came free on the Epic Real store, free for the month. It had everything from animations to, the characters. So I kind of just took that as a reference, put it into ChatGPT. It came out with some photos of a character. I'm pretty happy with it. I think the designs came out pretty well. I'm trying to make every monster something that you would slay and then you could then craft the armor from and have something similar to what you killed, essentially. And so here are the results. Here's the before and after. So I know what you're thinking, like, why is it so small? But I will resize it, thinking maybe make it even taller. So here it is before resizing. This is the ash tree ent. This is the birch tree ent, the oak tree ent, and then the spruce tree. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the design, how it came out. I think they look pretty Guardian-esque, Ent-esque like. So yeah. So let me just resize them and then put them together to get a better view. All right, so I now scaled it up. I think that's a pretty good height because we also want to make sure that when it does the animations, his hands can still overlap with the player on a swing, so that we could make sure that the melee trace fires off and damages the player. So I think about waist level is pretty good. I think that looks nice. Let's see from the back. I think the models came out pretty well from the triple generation. I didn't really have any issues with it. Okay, so these are my tree ints. I'm gonna hook them up to become the new enemies, replace the models. So here we go. Okay, so after a few iterations, I got the first ash tree int in there. I gotta change the name, but yeah, but he's kind of looking a little laid back. I think I'm gonna see if there's a different idle animation in there that would make him a bit more straight up. But yeah, for the most part, he's done. It took a little bit longer than I expected just because I had to refactor the code a little bit. Originally, I had it to where you had to make multiple combat abilities for the basic attack, in order to play different animation montages, but now I just added the animation montage on a enemy definition just so that it could just dynamically allocate to the same gameplay ability on the basic attack. So anyway, it is working now. We should be able to just attack, all the animations match, and yeah, everything seems to be working okay. Maybe I should increase the hit radius to be something impressive just because it's not very accurate since he's so much bigger. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah, so made the hitbox a little bit larger. I think it looks pretty good. I'm wondering if I could just make the ant a bit taller. See what that would look like and if it's even feasible. So I'm gonna try that next. All right, let's check it out. I think I tried having it at 2.5 the size, but it was just too big and the hitboxes were missing. Realize that the bigger I make the enemy, the more holes it has as far as combat. So I think I'm gonna keep it at 2.0, and I think I need to also make sure that the enemy realizes in some way that the player is kind of out of their attack range. As with that attack right there, you can see that it just totally misses the player. So I'm thinking maybe instead of having the hitbox on the tip of his hand, I could have it a little bit more on the wrist, just so that it actually hits closer to the player when he's like right on him. Um, I think that'd be the most short, feasible thing I can do right now. Instead of maybe as time goes on, I'll think of a better solution. But for now, I think I will just do that, or just add maybe a stomp, so that if it's too close, then the player will get stomped on. Okay, let's see what I decide to do. Okay, so I pretty much just chose a different animation and not worried about it. Made the hit radius to 45, and so even if the player is red on him, he'll always be hit, which is good enough for me for now. I think maybe in the future I'll revisit it and see. But for now, that's going to do it. So the next thing I want to do is just get the other trees in here, get it spawned. Okay, now that I got all the enemies on the right spawner, everything's spawning correctly. I got spruce trees, I got birch, should have ash right there, and oak somewhere right there. Yep, so everything looks good. Animations are good. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty happy with these results. The next thing to do is probably be able to get these trees to respawn after they die. Currently, I'm just spawning them in once, and then that's it. So, yep, I gotta just get them to respawn. And then I could probably start working on something else. Okay, so I figured out my enemy respawning solution. I made it such that when his health hits 0, 10 seconds later, he's going to respawn. And rather than spawning in a brand new object, I'm just pulling this object so that I can just reuse it. How it works is it's just going to be spawned in a different location and then refresh his stats so that he has full health. But it's the same object. No objects were destroyed or created. So this should help with performance further down the line. Okay, and that's where I'm going to wrap up Devlog 2. For this iteration, I completely reworked the enemy system. Instead of using the basic logic from the previous version, the enemies now use Unreal Engine's Blackboard and Behavioral Trees. The enemy system is much more functional now, and I think that this gives me a great foundation to build up moving forward. I think this is where I'm going to leave off with the Tree Ent enemies for now. Next, I want to shift my focus back towards the player and improve some of the systems that I've already implemented. Once those systems are in a better place, I'll be able to start preparing for a Tree Ent boss or possibly a mini boss. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.